Blind dating can suck. Blind dating can be a blessing, but being set up on a blind date without your knowledge or consent for such a situation can be a real mess. That's what's happening in our first story, so it's a bit of a doozy, this one. G'day there guys, it's your main man Markee, and welcome back to another episode of r/AmITheA asshole. Now if you love today's bloody good stories, I want you to sit back, relax, chuck a prawn to the barbie, and get ready for some scandalous content. Let's go. Am I the asshole for not showing up for a dinner with my sister when I found out she was planning to set me up? I, 34 male, am a single dad of two amazing kids, my 18-year-old son and my 14-year-old daughter. 14 years ago, my fiancée and the mother of my children died suddenly, and it destroyed me. She was everything. We were supposed to grow old together, raise our babies together, and share a life. She was my best friend for 15 years, and my love for 6. After she died, my family expected me to date again, find love again, and marry someone and find another mother for my kids. But I have never had any interest in meeting someone else. I focus on being a good dad and enjoying my life the best I can, but I never wanted to move on, and I don't feel like that's something that will ever happen for me. About 2 years after my fiancée died though, my sister started getting pushier. She told me I needed to find someone who could make me happy, that I deserved better than staying single for the rest of my life. I told her it's my choice, and if that's what feels right to me, then it's what I'll do. For the most part, she lets it go once I say no, but she brings it up often enough that it has affected our closeness. 2 years ago, we stopped talking for months after she brought my kids into this plot to set me up, and was disappointed they didn't want to take any part in it. When I found out, I was furious, and I thought that was the last of it when we reconciled because she saw I was willing to not speak to her, and her apology was the most genuine it had ever been. Then last week, she told me she wanted to hang out. We were supposed to go to dinner in her favorite place, but a few days before, I found out she was actually trying to set me up with this woman she knows. Once I found out, I just refused to show up. That dinner was Thursday, and yesterday she was furious that I hadn't shown. She said they had been waiting for me. I asked her who they was. She said she had brought someone along for me to meet, and I told her I no longer trust her after this. My parents sent me a message last night that it was rude to be a no-show, and I should understand that they just worry I'm putting my life on hold and denying myself happiness. Am I the asshole? I feel like no, you're not the asshole in this situation. If you don't want to move on from your wife's passing and you're happy with the way that your life is going, that's completely your choice, and you shouldn't be forced to move on from that when it is completely up to you where you proceed from here. She's heard you say that to her multiple times and ignored you. She even tried to trap you. You knew it was a trap, you told her you're not coming, and she has the audacity to turn this on you and say that you're the asshole for this. That is quite an unacceptable thing to do, and I'm gonna have to say she's the asshole for doing this, and as are your parents, for agreeing with and enabling that behavior. So, not the asshole OP. Now in the comments, Winds of Winter Please says, "Wow, not the asshole. Your sister is not respecting your choice. I wouldn't have showed up either." And OP replies, "I don't think any of my family particularly like or respect my choice. The others push less because they know I will not tolerate someone trying to go against my boundaries and wishes. Apparently I now need to stop talking to or seeing my sister because she will never learn." It's great that your kids get it and didn't take part in her plans. I don't get why she can't respect your choice. She doesn't get to decide what makes you happy. This all the way. It enrages me when people try to use kids in their idiotic plots. Particularly this one. "Hey kids, want me to get you a new mummy?" No. Just hell no. Not the asshole. You are not ready to date and they should respect that. I get that your family wants you to be happy, but this is not helpful at all. I also hate the implication that you can't be happy without a significant other. And OP replies, "I know it bothers them that I spent my 20s and now into my 30s without a significant other or even dating. But you know, I'm living my life the way I want. I don't see myself ever dating, but that should be my choice. I'm old enough to decide this for myself. Borg Teddy replies, "It is your life. You should live it your way." They need to realize that your life isn't a Hallmark movie where they find you a new woman and then they all live happily ever after. They shouldn't force you into dating and a relationship if you're not ready for it, and if you were never ready for it, they should respect that too. I wish you and your children much happiness. Some people cannot understand that one does not need to have a romantic partner to be happy or to live a full life. I'm sorry for your loss and your sister's inability to respect your boundaries. You were definitely not the asshole. I had a neighbor like this. She was friends with my brother and his ex, and she constantly pushed me to let her set me up, even after my brother and his ex moved away. Some people just think there's something wrong if you're not with someone, and they have to fix it. She tried setting me up, i.e. harassing me, about going out with this guy from her church, and then offers, "If it doesn't work out with him, there's plenty of others I can pair you up with." So there was nothing special about this guy, just that he was single, you were single, and it's a match. She was so insistent about it. She was visiting with my ex-sister-in-law one day and cornered me into my room to try and make me agree to it. I was in there hiding with a migraine. Sister-in-law had to make her leave. Our next post is by user Parking Sign 44, titled, "Am I the asshole for how I responded after my husband asked why I'm being so unladylike in front of my whole family?" To begin, I'd like to mention that my husband, 39, is the breadwinner. He works in airlines as a pilot/always working, while I'm a stay-at-home mum taking care of our home and our 3 kids, 5 years, 3 years, and 6 months. Lately, we've been having a few arguments with him complaining about me not taking care of myself and my looks, and always being busy with chores and whatnot. We got invited to my parents' house last night. Once we sat down for dinner, my mum, sister, and I started talking about preparations for my sister's wedding. My sister talked about her hair, makeup, dress, etc. My husband kept giving me looks and raising his eyebrow whenever the words haircut or makeup or new dress got brought up. He decided to pitch in the conversation and started openly criticizing my current look and how unladylike I've become recently, especially after our 3rd child was born. He went on commenting on how much he'd like me to change my hair color, get my nails done, or buy a new nice dresses to wear, like other wives do for once. I was stunned, mouth wide open, and so were my parents. My brother-in-law was laughing secretly, and my sister was looking at me head to toe in a poor sister type of way. My husband didn't stop at that, and ranted about how I should start taking care of us and be more energetic, positive, outgoing, sexy, and so on and so on. Then he looked at me and asked why I've become so unladylike all of a sudden, and kept looking at me in a "whatever happened to you, what changed" type of way. I was mad. I loudly said, "Behind every unladylike, miserable woman, there's a trashy, negative asshole man," and pointed out what changed, and that it's him not pulling enough weight in childcare, delaying, making excuses, and putting house chores upon me constantly, while he posts on Facebook about what an amazing work he does to provide for us. I cook, clean, wash, do laundry, get up with the baby, and feed and change and bathe, and so on. He reminded me that I'm the stay-at-home parent and he's the moneymaker. I've pointed out that there are a lot of dads who are moneymakers and still do their part as a partner and as a parent. He was stunned and dumbfounded as everyone was looking at him in an awkward, embarrassing way. He got quiet the rest of the visit, just looking down and avoiding eye contact with everyone in the room. He blew up in the car, asking what the hell possessed me to go off on him like that in front of his in-laws, who now have a very false, very misleading impression of him. He says no matter what happens, I should never share our private issues with family. I reminded him of who brought it up in the first place, and he called me petty for making a scene to get back at him, only for giving me some innocent advice. He's sulking right now. Did I go too far? And info, to give some background, I'm not neglecting myself. I do my hair at home. I do activities and wear eyeshadow, but not full makeup. My husband says I should do more for myself, like go to the salon with my sister or friends, and go shop for new dresses. He says he's just giving me advice, and this topic isn't something that I should be upset about. I might have been on the oversensitive side lately, but I feel like he was being pushy, and he thinks I ruined his relationship with my family with what I said. I think his in-laws know exactly what's going on here, and I think, you didn't need to blow up at them for them to realize he's just a trashy individual. For a lot of people, this is grounds for a separation, and you wouldn't be blamed by any of your siblings, his in-laws, for making that choice. I very much think after that interaction, they'd be like, yeah, that was unexpected, and, he deserves it. That is to say, that is a big action to make, and in some situations, you'd be like, there wasn't too much wrong, divorce is crazy. But your response, after your husband asked why you were being so unladylike in front of your whole family, no, not the asshole. That is a much less impactful thing than divorce, and if they can understand and not think that you're an asshole for a divorce, you're absolutely not an asshole for your response in this situation. This guy is absolutely suffering from pathetic man syndrome. I do hope he finds the cure someday, but I'm not hopeful on that one. Unless he's willing to make that change and be a better person, I wouldn't count on it, unfortunately, OP. He sounds pretty entrenched right now. I'm just gonna say good luck with this one, not the asshole. Now in the comments, Claypaul Jr. says, not the asshole. Sounds like you have 4 children under the age of 6. Quote, his in-laws now have a very false, very misleading impression of him? I think his in-laws have a very clear idea of who he is, considering he said all those terrible things in front of them. Seriously, if my husband said these kinds of things about me in front of my parents, they would kick him out of their house. If my sister's partners said those things to my family, he'd be lucky to leave the house in one piece. My parents would hang up the missing persons posters and lie with a straight face. Hey babe, I know you've had a lot under your belt with the kids in the house and the newborn, so I want to give you a day to focus on yourself so you can get a haircut, visit the spa, go clothes shopping, and pamper yourself because at the end of the day, you're not just a mother, and we need to make sure you look after yourself too. That's one approach. There's a lot of other ways to approach this that isn't so hateful. I mean, goddamn, what if we're dealing with PPD on top of sleep deprivation? But this dude approached this in a way that's just begging OP to put a shiny red bow on top of the divorce papers. OP, I'm sorry your husband has little to no respect for you. To say that to you, let alone in front of others, and get pissy at you for his words, is just disgusting. Please take the time to stay with your family if you can, and seriously consider your options. You and your children deserve to be happy. I hate to say it, but how long is it until your hubby is arguing that you forced him to cheat because he decided you let yourself go, when in actual fact, you were slaving over caring for your 4 kids and a household? Not the asshole. Working or not, he's a parent. It is his responsibility to help with the children. He insulted, belittled, and attacked you repeatedly in front of your family, and then has the nerve to sulk because you clapped back harder? No, you did not go too far. You said what needed saying. Don't let him guilt you into thinking that you're in the wrong. And not only that, I would consider taking a break from him. His behavior is absolutely appalling. To do that in front of your family? Counseling is a must at the bare minimum, not the asshole. And our next post is by user Amanda Marie, titled, Am I the asshole for refusing to eat, knowing my mother-in-law will not eat if I don't, and causing her to faint? We currently live with my husband's mum, and she does a lot for us. I truly appreciate that because we got ourselves into a financial rut. Mother-in-law is a hardcore perfectionist who always has to be the best at everything to the point that it is completely toxic. She was taught growing up to never eat if someone else isn't, and as a teen, that spiraled into never being the only woman eating. It was ingrained in her by her very overweight mother to never let anyone think she was a pig. Not surprisingly, my mother-in-law and her sister both have serious issues with food. This is insane, obviously, but she's also an ER doctor who doesn't work normal hours, so this makes it even worse. We are someplace that is probably in the 3rd or 4th wave, so she's been working crazy hours. The other day, she took us after work to do some errands. We don't have a car at the moment, but she said it was fine because she needed groceries. The grocery store sold food that you could eat there, and she asked if we wanted any. I had just eaten, so I said no, but she should eat since she just got off work. She insisted she wasn't hungry and was just thinking about us. By the end of the shopping, she seemed to be shaking and asked again if we wanted anything. My husband said he'd eat something just because he felt bad for her. I wasn't hungry and I said no, and she ended up leaving without eating. Then we went home and she fainted. I don't know if it was just not from eating, as she's been working like 20-hour shifts pretty routinely. Now her boyfriend is pissed off at me and says that I should have eaten something so she would. I said she's a grown woman and I don't feel responsible, but he said I know who she is, called me an ungrateful tramp, and said it's my fault she fainted. Now in the comments, Caliban Drive says, "Not the asshole. You can't be held responsible for another person's disordered eating, and you mustn't ever let anyone else's disordered eating affect your own healthy and orderly relationship with food. Your mother-in-law is an adult, and so she is responsible for taking care of her own health. This woman is an ER doctor. She knows what happens when you don't eat. Yeah, she knows, but she's also struggling with eating issues. Maybe show a little compassion, especially with all the stress that ER doctors are under right now. Stress makes eating disorders flare up." I don't really understand all the "not your responsibility" comments. OP's inability to afford housing or to do basic things like get herself to the grocery store is also not mother-in-law's issue, but she is still choosing to put herself out to help OP. Mother-in-law could have been home alone eating after her 20-hour shift, but instead, she was helping OP run an errand. Mother-in-law is struggling with mental illness, and OP is well aware of this. Mother-in-law is also under an incredible amount of unavoidable strain at work. She does not have the time or emotional bandwidth to go into therapy to deal with her eating disorder at this moment. She was suffering with an acute health problem that OP knew of at the grocery store. Mother-in-law shaking. OP admits she knew that mother-in-law was likely hungry, but that because of mother-in-law's mental illness, she could not bring herself to eat if OP didn't. OP could have done a simple thing of saying, "Okay, I will eat half an apple because I see mother-in-law is suffering, and she really needs my help right now." Instead, OP says, "Screw it. I'm not hungry and I don't owe mother-in-law anything." Should mother-in-law say screw it, I'm not responsible for OP and chuck her into the street, or leave her at the grocery store without transportation so that she could go home and eat in peace? Family should support each other. That means eating an apple in the moment for mother-in-law's sake and talking to her about going in for treatment of her eating disorder. If she can't treat mother-in-law with basic decency and compassion, then OP needs to stop relying on mother-in-law for housing and transportation. You're the asshole, big time OP. And edit, thanks for the awards. I just read OP's comments and it makes me so sad for mother-in-law. Mother-in-law was raised by abusive parents, which is likely why she accepts crappy treatment from her son and OP while lighting herself on fire to help them out. Mother-in-law pays all the bills for OP, her husband, and their baby. If it were me, I would kick OP out as she's a leech who's contributing to mother-in-law's mental health struggles during a difficult time. Everyone sucks here. You have no obligation, but knowing that she has an eating disorder, it would have been a kindness to eat. Surely you could have gotten something small and nibbled on it. It was a grocery store. You could have purchased a small portion of grapes and just eaten a couple. You said you live with her and she does a lot for you. Why not support her in return? Added to that, we all need to be supportive of healthcare workers in this horribly stressful time. Actually, the more I consider, the more I'm leaning towards you're the asshole. But I don't like the actions of others in this story. This was not a huge deal, and you chose stubbornness instead of kindness. Our next post is by user throwaway.quest, titled, Am I the asshole for asking a teenage boy if my 4-year-old can have his claw machine prize? This afternoon, I was at the arcades with my 4-year-old daughter. We spent a good few pounds on the toy machine, trying to win her a Monsters, Inc. soft toy. A group of teenage boys were interacting with us, trying to give us pointers on how to win. To be honest, they were pretty annoying, but I was polite. After a while, I told her we spent enough now, and I'm sorry, but we have to stop. She was crying that she didn't win. One of the boys played the machine and we watched them. He won on the second go, which made my daughter even more upset. I asked him if my daughter could please have the toy, as it would mean a lot to her. He went all awkward and silent, and then one of his friends said how it was rude of me to ask. I ignored that boy and carried on talking to the boy with the toy. I said I'd give him £2, as that's how much he spent on it. He then laughed and said sorry, but no, it's mine. The other boy then called me an idiot. So I told him he's the rude one and is obviously not raised right. Everyone was staring at us as the second boy and me were a little loud, I guess. I didn't think it was an outrageous request, but when I told my daughter's dad about it, he said it kind of is. I don't think it was outrageous of you to ask and see, because it's something that I would potentially be okay with doing myself to keep the 4-year-old girl happy who was so invested in this. You got your answer, and that one boy with the toy just said to you, sorry, but no, it's mine. That's a fair enough answer. The other boy called you an idiot? Sure, that's a bit of an escalation. But then to say that he's not raised right, that's you retaliating to a situation. You're really bringing yourself down to a teenage boy's level. I really think you're the asshole for doing that. To a lot of people, this is obviously going to be an outrageous request in this situation, and I can see how you were in the wrong for what you've done. Obviously, that other teenage boy is in the wrong, but he is a teenage boy. That is just what a lot of them do. So I'm gonna have to say you're the asshole for this one. Now in the comments, Science Not Kid says, you're the asshole. That's really messed up to try and pressure a minor to give you his possessions. Right? OP can't understand why this boy shouldn't give him the toy that he won with his own money, but he's the one who isn't raised right. Go figure. If the boy wants the toy, he isn't obligated to give it away. OP is the one who either needs to suck it up and keep playing, or teach her daughter that we do not always get everything we want. You're the asshole. No one else cares about your spawn. You're also in for a whole heap of trouble if you raised her to expect this type of entitlement. She's gonna be the give it to me type soon enough. I just had a Veruca Salt flashback. But, the original Willy Wonka had such great music. And you're the asshole. You put that boy on the spot, asking in front of his friends and your crying 4-year-old. They even tried to help your 4-year-old win the toy, but you found their pointers annoying. I'm glad his friends stood up for him. If you'd asked once and let it go, then I would say the name-calling wasn't justified. But you pushed on even after they said no. Anyway guys, I think that's where I'm going to end today's video. If you did like it, tell me what you thought about it down in the comments below, and make sure to just interact with everyone in this community. I love each and every one of you that I get to see on a daily basis. And don't forget, if you are a Patreon subscriber, I love you. You're on the screen right now with the YouTube members as well. If you see yourself, give yourself a pat in the back. You guys help me continue this YouTube journey. You keep me going. I see you guys everywhere. I see your messages, and thank you so much for supporting me. I really love every single one of you. But with that all said, I'm going to be signing off now, guys. I hope you have a good day, night, sleep, whatever you're up to, and I'll see you in the next episode. Bye.